Hello, my loves. Welcome to a cosmic conversation. I know I have been a little quiet. If you are catching the replay, please hashtag it replay. Let me know where you're watching from so I can send you some love and for supporting me and for showing up and joining this beautiful conversation. I am live in multiple places. So I am live on TikTok, I am live on YouTube and Facebook. So wherever you are watching this from, please heart it, share it, spread the love. Today we're going to be talking about the day out of time, which is today. So happy day out of time. I'm going to be talking about what that is. Tomorrow is the Galactic New Year. This is one of my favorite times of year. I am a July baby, so hello, Kelly. Hello, Salim. Just read about the day out of time. Yes. Well, I don't know what you read, but I'm going to give you what my guides say, what we bring through, because it's interesting. Well, before I do that, I don't know where I was going. So please like this, share this, comment, interact with me, please. I thrive on interaction. So we're going to be talking about the day out of time. That's what we were talking about. Thank you. Day out of time, the Galactic New Year, which is tomorrow, and Lionsgate, because this is some overhyped shit. And we're going to be talking about it a little bit. So if you're just finding me, if you're brand new to me, I'm Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multi-dimensional channel teacher, healer. And my main mission is to help you move from anxiety, fear, overwhelm, worry into harmony with your mind, body, and spirit, bringing you back to that true center of mindfulness. Presence is where all of your damn power is. And we're going to be talking, Kelly, we're going to talk about what today, a good day for today. I mean, you can do whatever you want today, but I have been sitting the past week listening to all of the hype and preparation for Lionsgate. And it's something that happens every year. And I have over the years, right, as my channel has purified and cleared, and I have become a clearer and clearer channel of the information, because source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is never wrong. It's just how we filter it. So as the information comes through, whatever channel, I'm the channel, right, is bringing it through, it's got to filter through our belief systems, through all the crap that we hold on to, our baggage. It's got to filter through all of that. And so the information gets distorted to some degree. And this is why you could have 10 different channels on a panel, on a stage, and the information could all be just a little different. It's because the same exact information is coming through their lens of perception, right? Their filter. Their filter is their belief systems, their programming, their wounds. It's got to go through all of that. So when someone tells you they're a clear channel, I would really be suspicious of that, because none of us are truly ever really clear or pure. We all, as long as we're human, we're going to have filters, right? So take this information with a grain of salt, and what resonates with you, keep. What doesn't, just let it go. It's not a big deal. We're always looking at information from a different perspective or lens of perception, which is kind of my specialty, right? Those who've worked with me, you know this. I'm always talking about, the different lenses of perception. We are multidimensional. So if we're truly multidimensional, then we have multiple lenses of perception, different versions of us, ways of seeing something. And that's very powerful, right? So that's why everything is actually true. It's just looking at it from a certain angle or a certain degree or through a certain lens. And sometimes that lens is really dirty, and sometimes the lens is pretty clear. So anyway, that's me. That's what we're going to be talking about today. As you will see on the ticker, if you are on Facebook or YouTube, or the screen behind me if you are on TikTok, I have a brand new membership called The Vault, and it just opened. It was not meant to be open to the public, but as Albert Einstein says, with difficulty lies opportunity. And I had some difficulty because I was limiting who I was wanting to be in this membership. And Spirit said, oh no, we're going to open this up to everybody. So it is a vault of digital courses. It has about 5 very powerful healing transformational courses, valued well over $7,000 in content. These courses I will never run live again. I'm actually doing a lot of behind the scene changes in my programming. So these courses, I know I will never run again. It does not make them any less valuable. but you can access them, not own them. You can access them. And in addition to the vault of my healing meditations and transmissions, including language of light transmissions, past live events, master classes, um, channelings, vlogs. There's all kinds of stuff that's in there. And a once a month monthly group Zoom call for support. So whether it's support on the content you're working through or something going on in your personal life that you need help with, that will be it. So all of that is $29 a month. Until July 31st, you can actually get founder's fee, $22 a month using code discovery. So if that calls to you, if you want to check it out, you can go to the links and by all means read about it. And if it calls to you, join us. If not, that's cool too. I know I saw you joined yesterday. Yeah. The Gene Key course alone in there. If you're new to Gene Keys or human design, that was an 8-month freaking course. Holy crap. That course alone was $5,500. And I put it in there because we're never going to run it live again. It was something I did with Ashley. And I mean, that alone, it's crazy to me, but it felt really good and supportive. So I'm good with it. I think it's great. So anyway, let's move on to why we're here today. The day out of time. So many of you probably have heard of the day out of time. It is something that really stemmed from the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar believes, and I actually really resonate with this, and so do the guides, that we are meant to run on a 13-month calendar system, not a 12. The 12, that's actually been distorted over time. So something I've talked about before, which was kind of mind-blowing when it came through, was we had all this hype years ago on 2012 and, being the end of time, the end of times. Well, if we went by the Mayan calendar, this year would be 2012. And just really let that sink in. And it wasn't the end of times, like that we were all going to vanish and die. It was the end of time and the way that we perceive time. We were moving into more of a state of timelessness, right? So when you move, if we're gonna label things, and we need to for linear purposes, right? Because we're human right now. If we're going to move from a third dimension to a fourth dimension to a fifth dimension over time, right? If we're progressing these ways, the third dimension is very limited. It's boxed in. It's very hardcore. There is no flexibility whatsoever. The fourth dimension, you start to feel that flexibility, that transition, that point of where you're kind of starting to feel the beautiful, blissful effects of being in the all-loving energy of what we call 5D. And seeing things through that beautiful lens of perception, of acceptance, right? It's not that we see everything in bliss and love. Being in love means we're just accepting what is. So when you're in a state of love, in love, you're just accepting. You're accepting for what is, knowing that it's there because it needs to be there, because there's something to learn from it. There's something to gain from it. There's wisdom to, receive from it. You're not fighting with it. You're not judging it. It really changes what it means to be in love, right? So when you're in love, you are just in a state of acceptance of what is and finding beauty in that. So as we're moving as a collective, as a planet, as an energy, as a consciousness into a fifth dimensional state of being, right? As into that realm, there's no time in the 5D. In fifth dimension, there is no time. So we're in this transition of changing the way that we perceive time. And the guides have said, and you guys, I'm sure have heard me say this multiple times, but time and astrology are markers for experience. That's it. It's it. It's markers for experience. That's it. And so as you start to awaken, you start to kind of lose the concept of time. I don't know about you, but if I don't have a calendar that tells me what day it is or a clock that tells me what time it is, I would be completely lost. Sometimes I'm like, what? We're in July? What? We're in 2022. Like, it's, the concept is so foreign to me now because of my state of being, right? And the state of consciousness that I am majority of the time. And so that's, if we go by the Mayan calendar, It's 13 months. This year would actually be 2012. It would be the beginning of the end of time as we know it. And so it's really kind of an interesting perspective and mental shift when we look at it that way, when we see things that way, right? And we're like, oh, okay. So we're not all doomed. We're not all going to blow up and die. We're just losing our perception of time, right? Time is changing for us. And we already see the physical manifestations of this with the United States choosing to stop doing the fall back, spring forward nonsense. I think this year is the last year we're going to do it. And I think next year when we spring forward, it will stay that way, which I'm so excited for because it really messes with my circadian rhythm every year. Hey, Vicky, mom. I've lost 5 years. Let me put my glasses on so I'm not leaning in like a weirdo. I love that you guys are all talking to each other. That's awesome. Is that why time appears to be going so fast? That is a great question, Amanda. So it depends. It depends. Usually when time seems to be moving super fast, it usually means you weren't present. When time seems to be moving very slow, it can also it can be more of a how do we want to say this? Let me tune in here because I'm like when time seems to be moving very, very slow, but at the same time, that's interesting. So they're talking about stretching time here, which is, I don't know why we're bringing this in, but someone might need to hear this. So if you are, let's say you've been working and it feels like you've been working for 6 hours, but you look at the clock and only an hour's gone by, you were so present that you stretch time. And sometimes when time is going super slow, it's because you're in the past. So it really depends. You really want to find that sweet spot where you're able to be so present that you're not even aware of time. So it's like when you get into that creative flow, we're talking about the sweet spot here because that's what we really want you to focus on. The sweet spot is when you're doing something that you love and you lose time, where you don't even care what time it is. You don't know if it's daylight or nighttime. You don't know if it's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Like you've lost you're in such that flow and you don't feel tired and you don't feel drained and you don't feel like you're rushing or that you're have to get things done or that you're frantic. It's just that sweet spot of where time isn't even relevant to you. Time can sometimes feel like, and I feel like they're bringing this in for you particular. Sometimes time can feel like it's going by really fast because your frequency, your consciousness is beginning to move at a higher rate of speed. So when we talk about frequency, when I say your frequency is higher, now most people like to use the word vibration, but vibration and frequency are different. Frequency is the energy that you hold. Vibration is what you emanate out. So if you are in a loving frequency, that is that is the signal you're sending out. So when we talk about your frequency, as you raise your frequency, the higher you raise your frequency, the more information you can process per hour. And that means that it's like your computer processor is running faster, right? So when you're new to that energy, when that's something that's new to you, or that you've only been experiencing that for a little bit of time, it can seem like time's flying by because you are operating like you're processing things so much faster. But you can slow that down simply by practicing presence. I hope that helps. I think we kind of went sideways there, but since 2020 time is different from since 2020 since time is different from you. Good. You never write, you never call. So you guys, Vicky and so I'm in Austin, Texas right now. Vicky and I met up and went to a Mind Body Spirit Expo, which sucked, by the way. Austin, I'm very disappointed in your Mind Body Expo. We went and we walked up to the psychic, who, by the way, was like a car salesman. They were all that way. They were like, as seen on TV, like I'm so big. And I'm thinking, if you're so big, why are you at this Mind Body Expo with 40 exhibitors here? Anyway, that was my ego judging, right? Anyways, we walk up and she called us mother daughter. So now every time I see Vicky, I'm like, "Hey mom, how you doing?" Okay, this is a cosmic conversation. We just kind of go all over the place. It is funny for me. It should be funny for you too, because you don't look like my mom. You don't look your age. But it is funny, and I will never forget it. I'll never forget it. Okay, anyway. So day out of time. The day out of time is a birthing portal, if you will. It is a void. It is the space where kind of it's meant to be an energy of timelessness. Hence, if we run off the 13-month calendar, that would make it 364 days, right? So there would be a day out of time, right? There would be a day that is not counted in time. When we understand that yesterday, if we're going to make things linear, because to understand things, we kind of need to. Yesterday was the end of the previous galactic new year. Tomorrow's the start of the new galactic new year. Think of it this way. If we think of it in the traditional calendar, let's say December 31st, and then there was a 24 hours with no date. And then we had January 1st. It would be the same way for right now. That's what today kind of represents. It's kind of like the day between. So if there was a day between with no date on it from December 31st to January 1st, that's where we are right now. So it's like this space between. So I talked about leading up to the Galactic New Year. We always every year go through what we call purification. We go through a purification portal. It's like we enter into the tunnel or the underworld, and we go in, and it's usually a period of emotional purging, but it can just be one of purging in general, which we should be all accustomed with by this point because we've been purging so much for so long. We should be experts at purging by now. But we go through this purging portal, right? It's also a preparation. And then the day out of time is us going into the void. And when I tuned in this morning to give me a visual of what the void is, they showed me floating in space, and I don't know, in the void, which is black, right? Black is void of color. So in just blackness. But in that, I was floating. So I was like weightless. There was time, everything was timeless. But it was interesting because what I saw around me was all these pieces floating around me. And the pieces were things that I was trying to hide from myself or hiding from. It was things that were no longer serving me. It were things that I was trying to call in. It was like all of the pieces of things that I've been working on were all floating all around me. And it wasn't like where I couldn't grab it. It was like I could like look at it and think of if you were in um weightlessness. So like how astronauts practice, right? They go into those anti-gravity rooms, and everything kind of just floats up and hovers, and you can kind of manipulate it and move it, and it's very slow and gentle. It was that type of energy. So today is a really good day for you to kind of step out of everything and just kind of observe it as if you could like literally manipulate it with your hands, and you could go, oh, okay, here's all the things that I have been resisting. Here's all the things that I have been desiring. Here's all the things that I've been hiding from myself. And it's like you can pick and choose and be like, yeah, that's not a good apple anymore. I'm gonna get rid of that. Oh, this is a great apple. We're gonna hold on to this. It's like gives you this space to pick and choose. And really be mindful of what you want to bring with you, because what do I mean by bring with you? Tomorrow is the Galactic New Year, right? It starts the birthing portal, which is 13 days. And the 13th day is actually August 7th. So August 8th, hence Lionsgate, is the first day of this new cycle. So it's like 13 days of birthing something, right? And 13 is the number of birthing spirit. So 7 is usually a God number. It represents, we see it everywhere. 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 days in a week, 7 chakras. But 13 represents the birth of spirit. And we just went through this purification portal. And when we think about death and birth, it's one and the same. Something can't be born without something else dying. Like, it's just the way it is. It's like there's this portal between. When something dies, it's born, because energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can only change form. Only change form. So as we perceive somebody dying, what they're doing is shedding a human suit and transitioning into a new form. When someone's birthed, they're going from non-physical to physical. So we're going through a birthing portal starting tomorrow. So today is an opportunity for you to kind of assess, lean back, chill out, really be mindful about what is going on in your body, in your mind, in your energy. Asking yourself questions like, what have I been hiding from myself? What have I been not wanting to feel? What have I been not wanting to acknowledge? What have I been hyper focused on? What am I super attached to that I want to have, I need to have, whatever the case may be? What have I been fighting with? It's for you to just be very mindful and observant. If you want to use this day to your benefit, that's how to use it. That is really how to use it. So this 13-day birthing portal really ends on August 7th. So this energy was really something that was celebrated in like the times of Egypt, right? When we talk about the 13th, the Mayan calendar, right? This is all from the ancients. This is all something that was rituals and things that they believed and what they celebrated and that they put in kind of into our carbon blueprint, right? As a way of living. So they saw the purification process as a period of going within, going into the underworld, which we would call our subconscious or our unconscious. So a period of going down deep inside of us and bringing that shit up to the surface. And again, in bringing it into the space of timelessness, where we can stop and assess everything and choose. And then move into our new energy of who we are, free of that, or with new programming, however you want to label it. And as that happened, they believed that this energy aligned with the great central sun, which the ancients believed was in Sirius, which is in the Sirius, because it's the central sun is actually Alcyon, which is a part of the Pleiades, which is in the Sirius constellation. And our galaxy is believed to rotate around the great central sun, aka Alcyon. Alcyon is also the main hall of records. So not to get too technical, but a lot of teachings around the Akashic records are very humanized and convoluted, and it's not as complicated as they make it out to be. I'm a very simple teacher. I think a lot of those teachings are very overcomplicated, but Alcyon is the main hall of records. It is the great central sun. So it is believed that this aligns with the great central sun, and that central sun begins to rise, and it reaches its peak on 8/8, Lion's Gate, right? It actually completes its cycle on 8/7, and 8/8 is it's like the illumination of the new, right? It's the first actual day. It's pretty crazy. But what happens is during this process is once we step into tomorrow, what would happen in Egypt is the Nile River would begin to flood, and not flood in a bad way, but it would begin to basically bring nourishment to all the tribes and all the communities It would bring, it would bring back life. So over those 13 days, the Nile River would basically fill with water and it would nourish life. So it would bring plants back to life. It would bring fish. It would bring nourishment to the people because it was birthing something. So think about when you go through a detox, right? You go through this void of clearing everything out and then you start to nourish yourself again with the good things. It's all metaphoric. It's all metaphoric, but it's really beautiful when you look at the beliefs and the rituals of the ancients. So, with that said, the guides say we put way too much energy into this. They say Lion's Gate and all of these energies, all of these portals 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 8, 12, 12, all of those portals are very humanized. And the reason why they carry so much power is because there's so much collective belief that there's power in these days. Now, that power originated from the ancients. It came from a lot of these rituals. And it's not that there is not power in them. And it's not that what we just said is not true. It's that it's just a process. It's just something that we go through, whether we're conscious of it or not. And I know a lot of people in my life who are unconscious, I guess you could say, right? They're not very self aware. And what they're going through is very similar to what we are all going through, except we're very aware of what it is. We understand that we're going through purification. We understand that we're birthing a new version of ourselves. We understand all these things. We understand that when we're sick, it's not because we ate bad food or we caught a virus, right? We understand that we were a match to a resonant frequency, and that frequency was turned on, and now we have to clear it because it's not serving us. There was something for us in that. It was a purging. You have a flu, you have a fever, you have a cold, you have allergies. You're just purging something physically. That's all it is. So I've been seeing things breaking, right? We're going through this upgrade in our masculine energy, and this deep masculine healing. And so a lot of people, what is the masculine? Masculine is the structure. It is more physical in nature. So a lot of people who are going through that masculine healing, their bodies breaking, their vehicles are breaking, their things in their home are breaking, right? Because if something is tangible, it is a structure. It has to break in order to expand. And when you're going through a healing, and we've just been through this deep, deep feminine healing, ancestral healing, right? And we had all this energy. If you've been following my energy updates, right? In May, we had this huge new frequency land. In June, it began to spread out. And then July, it was about really integrating that. So as that energy settled and started to expand out, to integrate, it blew out our structures. It blew out our boundaries, our energetic boundaries, our physical boundaries. A lot of people became way more sensitive. They started taking on energy again, because it's not about protecting your energy. I'm the one who always says protecting your energy is bullshit. Protection implies there's something you don't want to feel, and that is resistance. And what you resist will persist. It is not about energy protection. It is about boundaries. I know where I end and where someone else begins. I understand how being an empath works. It's not that I'm taking anything on. I can only ever receive and feel what I'm a resonant match for. If it lives within me, then I will feel it. It doesn't necessarily mean that I need to take on their stuff too. It's telling me how that person feels so I can have compassion. And then if I feel it as well, if it triggers something in me, I can go, oh, so I have a match to that in me too. Let me look at this and address my shit and let their shit go on by. So it's very powerful when we really understand energy and how it works. It is all extremely interesting. So a lot of people, as that new energy expanded, right? The feminine is the new frequency. It is our energy, our state of being, our spirit. So, in order to hold or sustain that new frequency, we need a bigger structure. So, the masculine structure breaks so that we can begin to start rebuilding that. And that's where we're coming into a period of restructuring. And we are still collectively going to see the demolishing, the breaking of our structure, because if you look at the collective structure, it's way bigger than our personal structure, right? But the more of us, because we make up that collective, what you see in the world is a projection of us. So the more of us individually who do our work behind the scenes when no one's looking, when no one's watching, and we do what we know is aligned for us to do, be, say, the energy we carry. The more of us rebuild our structure and upgrade our frequency, the more we will see that collectively. So the collective structure is still going through its breakdown, but a lot of us have just moved through our breakdown, and we're going to begin our restructuring. So the more of us start restructuring, the more we will see the restructuring in the collective. This is exciting and seems to align with my personal journey. Yeah, a lot of people. Manda, your oven broke. When something breaks in my life, I'm like, upgrade. When I found out that my car needed a new transmission, and the transmission would cost more than my car was worth, the whole way back to the house that I was staying at, because I'm a nomad right now. I sang "Moving On Up" by the Jeffersons from the show the whole way. I like belted it out. It was like a 30-minute drive because I knew it just meant that I was going through an expansion. It's uncomfortable. I love you too, Aaron. So it's uncomfortable, right? And the birthing is going to be uncomfortable. I mean, anybody that's given birth knows it's uncomfortable. But this is an exciting time. This is a very, very exciting time. Anyway, the guides said that the dates that we really need to focus on, the ones that hold the most energy, the most potency, the most power, are the solstices. The solstices are the most powerful days that we will have. Those are the most potent energies. We as humans put way too much energy and belief into these things like Lionsgate and the synchronistic number portals. Not that numbers don't hold very powerful frequencies and energies, and not that we just talked about all of that isn't true. It is. That is what's happening, right? We're going through this period of transition, but it's just overhyped. It's overhyped. So does anybody have any questions about any of this? What? Uncomfortable is to birthing as torture is to. I really noticed that after I started healing from the flu last month, once I was better, I had the thought of with creating a whole routine and what I can release. Well, I mean, think about how much better you feel after you go through a flu or a cold, whatever, and you've done that. You feel so much lighter, right? You've got rid of so much gunk. What should we focus on these 13 days, love? Well, it's a birthing portal, basically. It's a period of birthing. So let's see. What do you want to create? What is it that you want to focus on? How is it that you want to feel? How can you create a routine or a structure that is supportive of those things? And the biggest, oh, this is good. The biggest one is, how can you create a practice around presence? Because if we're moving into a state of timelessness, right, moving into, that's what the whole 2012, 2022 energy is, right? It's moving, the beginning of the end of time. So if we are moving into a state of timelessness consistently, I'll get back to that. Um, how can you cultivate a practice of presence? And Salima, you are in Salvation and you're in private mentorship. And so you have the tools that we've been working with to practice presence. So, how can you practice presence? How can you focus on what is showing up right in front of you instead of being way ahead, trying to have everything mapped out and planned out? If what's in front of you is to create a plan, then that's what's in front of you to do. But it's not that you continuously focus on the future or you constantly are rehashing the past. A lot of us, we are controlled by our inner children, our ego aspects that access the algorithm of the past to create fear or preventative measures to keep you safe from the future. That's what fear comes from. The fear comes from, or anxiety or worry comes from a part of you, an aspect of you accessing the algorithm of the past, pulling that file. Oh, this is when we last experienced that energy. Remember, the circumstance may look completely different, but the energy is the same because those aspects of you, your smaller self, is constantly calling in the same patterns, the same types of people, the same types of energy, dressed differently with different circumstances in order to reconcile where they got caught in their emotional development, where they got trapped and stuck and fragmented. So it's constantly pulling from that past going, oh my God, this is when we last felt this. So we don't want to feel this again. So, oh my God, freak out, worry, stress, be in fear. When you start to recognize these things and learn how to work with your aspects and learn how to work with these energies, you change the game completely. And then you have the other people who are so focused on the future. Where am I going to be in a month? What am I going to do next week? I need to have everything, they're in control, right? Another form of fear. I have to have everything planned out. I need to know with certainty, what's going to happen. Now you're allowing your present moment to be dictated by your future. Your future is controlling you. And the whole time, all of your power is passing you by because the power is in the present moment. So that's the biggest one, is how can you practice presence? How can you create a practice of presence? What do you want your new structure to be? If you are going into a birthing cycle of creating a new structure, that means your structure is your boundaries. So what do I like? What do I don't like? What do I tolerate? What do I don't tolerate? What is going to be my non-negotiables? What kind of state of being do I want to live in? How do I want to respond to things? How do I want to communicate? How do I want to speak to myself? How do I want to deal with things that come up? How do I want to deal with my fear? Like, this is you building your structure. Your structure first has to be energetic. And that energetic structure, AKA boundaries, is what actually creates the physical structure. So if you're constantly calling in people who are energy vampires and are sucking you dry and who are constantly needing from you and pulling on you and draining you, it's because it's happening to tell you that you have shitty boundaries and giving you an opportunity to be like, no, and putting consequences down. A lot of these teachings, you guys, are in courses that are in the vault. So a lot of what I'm talking about, you can learn about in the vault. And if not, in our monthly group calls, you can ask these questions and I can go into them more, or other courses, because I still have my birthday sale going on for a little bit longer too. But regardless, these are the important things. You are recreating your structure. So what do you want that structure to consist of? And you have to start small. Give yourself bite-sized tasks. Don't try to change everything all at once. If you build a house, it doesn't all go up in one day, right? It goes up in stages. So consistency is when you don't take on too much. So you have to be consistent in your thoughts, words, and actions. You have to be consistent. And that's going to bring us back to something they wanted to bring me back to, which is this. Again, something you guys have probably heard me say a million times, but it doesn't matter because it needs to program deeper and deeper. You are always manifesting. There's never a time that you are not manifesting, ever. You are manifesting 1000% of the time, every moment, every second of every day. If you want to sustain a manifestation, a certain amount of money every month, a partner, health, whatever it is, you have to be able to sustain the frequency that that desire resides on. So if we put it in the level of floors, if what you want lives on the 10th floor, but 75% of the time you live on the 4th floor, that's where your energy is, that's what your frequency is, that's where your consciousness is, you will manifest spurts where you'll get a little bit of that. You'll go up and visit the 10th floor, but you don't live there. So you have to manifest more bills or more issues or more things that drop you back down to the 4th floor. And every time you get those bursts of the 10th floor, you're like, oh man, I want that more and more. So you keep trying, and all it's doing is moving you up the elevator of frequency. It's saying between the 4th floor and the 10th floor are all of these limiting beliefs, all of these stories that you're holding on to, all of these programs. And you're like, man, why do I keep manifesting all of this shit? It's because, well, we need to clear that. Every time it comes, you need to accept it. Every time it comes, you need to not fight with it. Every time it comes, you have to not resist it. Every time it comes, you have to be like, this is what it is. Let me feel it. It's just temporary. I'm moving up the emotional ladder. I'm moving up the emotional frequency scale. I'm moving up. I'm moving up. I'm moving up. I just have to allow myself to feel it. Instead, there's millions of teachers talking about energy protection, which is you building a dam. When you build a dam, you're blocking everything. You think this is going to protect you from feeling something, but instead it's going to keep you stuck in the thing that you don't want to feel. And it's going to go like this, around and around and around and around and around. And you're like, damn, I can't get out of this shit. We all have these moments. So when you're building your new structure, it has to be able to sustain the frequency that you want to sustain consistently. It has to be supportive of that. So you have to create a plan. So in order to sustain whatever it is, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month. Okay, what belief systems do I have to hold to make $10,000 a month? How would that look? How would I live? How would I operate? What would I do every day? What would my day look like? You have to think of these things. And then you have to start to build a structure around that. And you have to deal with all of the density, all of the old programming, all of the old stories that are going to come up. Because if you say this is who you are now and who you want to be and what you want to have, then everything that is not that has to be seen. You got to hold space for it. You got to feel it, and you got to allow it into your heart space. Purification process. I see you. I hear you. I am safe. I love you anyway. You have to allow it. You have to feel it and know that it's just an energy that's coming up going, I'm set free. And the closer it gets to your heart, the more intense it feels. But most of the time people say, this is who I want to be. And then the shit comes up and they're like, oh, I don't want to feel this. Why is this happening again? And it's like, okay, let's go. We got to go through this cycle again. We got to go through this cycle again. And you get drained because you're like, oh, I'm never going to get there. This is why the manifesting industry is $1 billion industry, because people don't want to do the work. It takes work every day, consistent work to change your life, to become the person that you want to be, to feel what you want to feel, to have the desires of what it is. You're already whole. You're already complete. You're already healed. It's just this very small part of you that has a very loud voice of ego and inner children. The smallest parts are the loudest voices. And they are the ones that are ruling you. And so people don't want to do the work. So what do? They do drugs to avoid, they drink, they shop, they scroll, they overexercise, they overwork, They do anything and everything to avoid. They want to take the easy pill, so they buy manifesting rituals, courses, anything, hoping that just by buying it or doing this one little thing that everything will change. It's like the diet pills or diets. It's all the same. It's all metaphors. Nothing consistently changes until you consistently change, until you consistently do the work. And people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. Is throat pain a sign from the universe? Throat pain is associated with your throat chakra. What does it mean to you? When your body speaks through sensation, it's because it's trying to communicate information. Sensations equal information. Reading your body and building your own dictionary of understanding what your body or your consciousness is trying to communicate to you is the most powerful thing you can ever do. It is something I teach in the energy matrix. If you're interested in that, you can look at that. But just start by sitting quietly, still. Focus all of your conscious awareness on your throat and start exploring the sensations as if you were 5 years old, having to tell your mom what you're feeling. And as you explore the sensations and lean into the discomfort, you're leaning into the density and you're going to receive information. And you just have to trust that soft, subtle voice that's speaking to you. So your throat pain is going to be different than my throat pain and what it's trying to tell you. But there is a lot of throat chakra upgrades going on right now. I said today I wouldn't come forward with my feelings because in the past it was twisted against me. Oh, the family dynamic patterns die hard. So just remember this. Boundaries is not about somebody else doing what you're asking them to do. Boundaries are about you. Boundaries are your behavior. So if you are expressing your feelings, your truth, it does not have to match or be accepted by the person who's receiving it because they are looking through a different lens of perception. So what you're saying is your truth and what they're saying is their truth. That's how they're receiving it. Remember, they have a filter and their filter is their belief systems, their programs, their wounding. So if I can tell you all day long the same thing over and over again, and this to a person, right? And that person is going to hear what they want to hear because the information, think of it as a voice changer. The information goes through a filter and it changes the frequency. And what they hear is only this. This is why I always tell people my courses are quantum. What does that mean? That means every time, and they're living transmission. So every time you take it, maybe say like Salime, she did the full energy matrix, the full 8-month program. Let's say 2 years from now, she decides to go back through it. She's going to hear something completely different. She's going to hear things she couldn't hear before. She's going to feel things she couldn't feel before. Why? Because her lens of perception, her filter has changed. So whoever is receiving your words or your feelings is being received through their filter, and it will get twisted. It will get distorted. And when you can just recognize that, you won't be so upset about it. You'll be like, oh, that's how they're receiving it. That's not my job to correct. Your job is not to prove what you feel. You do not need to prove your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings. They are what they are. There's nothing to prove. Nobody else. Because if you're saying I have to prove them, then what you're saying is my feelings and my thoughts are only real if someone else agrees with me. That's you giving a lot of power away. So instead, just recognize, well, that's how they're receiving it through their filter. And you can just say, well, that's not how I see it, but that's how you see it. So, I don't know what to tell you. But boundaries are about you. So you have to have consequences. If you're continuously around somebody who doesn't respect you, who doesn't make you feel safe, then when they do things, you have to say, hey, this is not something that I like or feels good. I would appreciate it. It's not, let me rephrase that. This doesn't feel good to me. Let's say you're talking to somebody who is on you call your girlfriend and she's gossiping. And you say, hey, I'm really not into gossiping. It doesn't feel good to me. So if we're going to keep doing this, I'm going to hang up the phone and go do some other things. And so the friend keeps gossiping and you say, hey, like, I get it. This is, you feel the need to share this, but this doesn't feel good to me. So if it continues, I'm going to leave the conversation. And then she continues, your job is now to hang up the phone. And if you don't, you are violating your own boundaries. So boundaries are about you. They're never about anybody else, ever. You are changing that, Kelly. Yes, by now I'm realizing how powerful it is to allow ourselves to feel our emotions and dig into it, receive the wisdom from it. Absolutely. It's just moving through you. It's just moving. Because think about it, if you resist it or avoid it or disassociate from it, it's just going to get stronger and bigger because it's like, well, maybe she didn't see me. Maybe I need to get bigger. Maybe she didn't hear me. Maybe I need to get louder. She didn't feel me. Maybe I need to make it more uncomfortable. So every time you enter into the energy of resistance, you better call that shit out and be like, what am I resisting? Because otherwise it's just going to get bigger, louder, and more uncomfortable. So I might as well feel it right now. And it won't last forever, but that's what you're afraid of. You're afraid that that's what's going to happen. You're afraid you're going to feel it forever. Let's scroll back and see if I missed any comments. Oh, Kelly had one of those timeless moments. I worked for 15 minutes and it felt like 2 hours. More like I wished it was 2 hours. That means when it was 15 minutes and it felt like 2 hours, you know what that means? It means you were doing something you definitely did not want to do. You were doing something that um, was very taxing on your energy. You guys are so funny. Mass beliefs create energy and power. Absolutely. We are the creators of our reality. We are the writers and the readers. We are the game and the players. Creators of the game and the players. Always. So I hope that answered your question, Salim. And we kind of drifted off. But over these 13 days, it's about creating your structure. What is it that you want to? What is the new frequency you want to hold? What are the new beliefs that you want to hold? What is the energy that you want to be in every day? And what structure is going to support that? What tangible things can you do to help you? So it's another reason why one thing that we want to bring in here is when you're reading all these posts about Lionsgate or about any portal or about any kind of thing, even when I post stuff, even when I give energy updates, you have to look at it as something that you can tune into and say, hey, does this resonate with me? And if so, what is it trying to show me? How can I utilize this information? It isn't about just going straight, just replacing what you feel or think with what I'm sharing. It's not the way that it works. It's the same way when we take things personally. So if something doesn't feel good, it means it doesn't resonate with you. So if you share something wonderful with somebody and then they come back with, something that doesn't make you feel good, you have a choice. Are you going to replace your truth with their truth? Are you going to replace your feelings of feeling amazing and good about something with theirs that is filled with envy or anger or jealousy or whatever, right? So you always have a choice. So when you're reading something, when you're watching something, when you're communicating with somebody, including yourself, you need to be discerning about the frequencies that are coming from that person, place, or thing, and choosing, right? So there's something happening in my life that I've been very quiet about. And there's particular people who I haven't told. And one of those people found out yesterday, not of what it is, but that I haven't told them. And I still haven't told them. And the reason why is because that person, generally, if I was to tell them something good, they're going to rain on my parade. They're going to throw all their limiting beliefs, all their crap on it, and it's going to muddy the waters. And I'm very discerning of that. So I was like, no, you get to choose. You can make decisions and live your life and do things and not tell a damn soul. Tell the people who are going to celebrate with you. Tell the people who are going to be like, yeah, that's amazing, that are going to be supportive, that are going to expand your joy and your celebration. Because sometimes when we get excited or have something, we're proud of and we share it with somebody, that person may have superiority complex or have other wounds where they have to one up you, or where they have to um, kind of rain on your parade and be like, oh, that's no big deal. Oh, I can do that. It's like, that's not the point. The point is we have to celebrate each other. So find and surround yourself with people who will be there and hold space for you when you need it, that you will hold space for them, who will celebrate you when you have good things, and you want to celebrate them when they have good things, because it's me too. I am you, you are me. That's the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with. Yeah, that's why I call them cosmic conversations, Kelly. Hi, Tanya. Because we kind of go all over the place, and they're transmissions. There's frequencies coming through. I never know what I'm going to say. I thought we were just going to talk about the day out of time, Galactic New Year, and Lionsgate today. Apparently, we had to talk about all kinds of things. All right. Well, I don't have anything else that the guides really want to share. The guides are complete. So how's everybody feeling other than that? How's everybody feeling? Do you guys feel good about where we're going? The energy will be, and I'm hoping to do an energy update at the end of this week, because I'm going to be in Corpus Christi playing for like 4 days. So I'm not going to do an energy update during that. That doesn't feel good to me. So I'm going to try to do it before I go. To kind of give you guys an insight on August. But the energy, Tuesday is the new moon. It is a new moon in Leo. It is during this 13-day cycle, birthing portal, birthing cycle, whatever you want to call it. The energy is going to be quite intense. Astrologically, there are some alignments that support this. And again, it is about the birthing us, creating that new structure, going towards our destiny, going towards our potential, going towards our highest aligned good. And sometimes that means shit's got to break. Things have got to, you have to purge and get sick. And sometimes you don't experience any of that. Sometimes you just feel freaking on top of the world. But it will be intense, meaning there will be a lot of energy that is reorganizing, because again, you are restructuring. With the restructure, there's a reorganization. So practicing presence, as the guides brought through for that 13-day period, is going to be your golden nugget. It's going to be the space of where you will have the most power. So don't distract yourself, disassociate. Don't overdo it. Don't overwork, overshop, over medicate, whatever, right? Be mindful, taste life, be present for what's going on around you. Go back and listen to how they wanted you to utilize today, the day out of time, and work with that energy, but be present. And when you're present, you're actually standing at the crossroads, and you get to choose at every moment. Do I want to go right or do I want to go left? Is this an old pattern, or, and if so, what have I always done? What's the opposite of that? So remember, everything's inverted. Now in Solvation, we're teaching inversion hacking. I'm not going to be teaching that here. I think I overshopped on crystals. It's hard when they have good sales. In fact, I literally just clipped from a private mentorship session, a piece that I did in my book, and Tanya will know because she edited my book like, I don't know, a million times, where I ask myself questions before I buy things so that I don't do it to fill a void. I think Tanya's house is a whole portal, though. She's got so many crystals in there. I'm looking at the river float tube. What, in Corpus Christi, Vicki? Or the float tube here? I don't talk to you because I'll tell you when we get together. I noticed I bought a crystal as a form of antidepressant yesterday. Almost made it through the weekend. Well, okay. So in my book, in the Holy Grail, I talk about this, and I'm going to actually eventually be posting a clip from private mentorship where I'm audibly talking about it in a different way. But I ask myself 3 questions whenever I'm going to do a purchase. So the first question is it a primal need, right? Think about food, electricity, rent, transportation, warmth, the 5 primal needs: eating, safety, warmth, all of those things, right? Is it a primal need? If it's a primal need, it's an automatic yes, I need to get it. If it's not a primal need, I move to question 2. Does it light me up? Does it expand me? Do I feel light and expanded and tingly? It brings me joy. If the answer is yes, whether the answer is yes or no, I still move to question 3. But if the answer is no, it doesn't light me up, then question 3 is super important. But I still ask question 3, even if I feel light and expanded on question 2. So question 3 is, what is it going to do for me? What is it going to do for me? You just read that part. Isn't it good? Because let me tell you, when I moved across country from San Diego to North Carolina, I had stacks and stacks of jeans. I have a jean fetish. I love jeans, and like jean pants. They had tags on them, like $100 pairs of jeans, $20 pairs of jeans to $100. Just I never wore. I had shoes with tags on them I never wore. I probably had 150 pairs of shoes. I had so much crap. Why? Because I was trying to fill a void. So I used to, when I've owned many businesses over my life. I've always worked corporate and owned businesses, or just owned a business. And so for most of my life, I've made good money. And when I would have a bad day, I'd go on a $500 shopping spree because it made me feel better. So you have to be honest with yourself. Like, so what is it going to do for me? It's going to make me feel better. Red flag. Red flag. Doesn't mean don't judge yourself. If you still want to do it, do it. But take responsibility for it, right? Number 1 of purification process, the 4 frequencies. I see you. It's responsibility. Why do I want to order the pizza? It's going to numb the pain. Well, today I'm going to numb the pain. Own it. Don't judge yourself. Just own this shit. Right? That's step 1, is just owning it. And maybe next time you will choose differently, but you just have to take responsibility for it. So if why you're buying it, you have to ask yourself, why am I buying it? So I bought 1 crystal on that sale, and I bought it for my son. And then at the end, when they did a giveaway, it was the shamanite, and I looked at that and I felt like my whole body lit up. And I was like, I don't need that, but that'd be really awesome to have that for myself. And I immediately heard 28 in my head. I put 28 in the chat. I won. 28 was the number. I was like, yeah, it was awesome, right? But I didn't need it, and I was okay if I didn't get it. You just have to be clear about what you're doing. If it makes you feel good, and when you ask yourself, why am I buying it? And your answer is because it would feel good to be in my home, or whatever. I mean, it's not about judging yourself. and it doesn't need to have some big spiritual or metaphysical reason. If the reason is good for you, then it's good for you. Nobody else has to fucking understand it. I love material items, always have, but I do purge a lot annually. It's just a statement for me. My red flag is I'm a golem. Maybe you just like to, instead of, so this is an interesting perspective, Tanya. I like to feel frequency, and I'm mostly water in my chart, right? I have a grand trine of water in my chart. So of course it would make sense that I want to feel the frequency. And you have more of earth energy in your chart. You have more tangible energy. So maybe for you, you like to have items, physical, tangible items that hold the frequency you want. I mean, that's how I read it. I don't know anything about the Lord of the Rings. So that's why I didn't get it, except for the column part. But I was a hoarder for a long time of stuff. And again, it was just people, the guides always say, look at your home, look at your car, look at your closets, look at, especially your closets, your cabinets, the things that people don't see. That usually represents your unconscious, right? Just look at it. We always get on weird topics. I have never watched The Lord of the Rings. It's just not my thing. I bought some shitty yeah, so Vicky and I bought these detox herbs from the Mind Body Expo. And so I was very drawn to the herbs. Well, I was drawn to the detox, right? And I already knew that I was going to be doing a detox anyway. And I thought, oh, well, I had been looking, what you're seeking is seeking you. So I was looking for something to assist me in my detox. I was already looking online. So we walked up to this booth. This woman had pretty chill energy, and she had a lot of cool products. And I saw there was one bottle of these detox herbs. She ended up having more because Vicky got one. And I didn't even ask the price. So that's another thing for me. If I find something and I don't even check the price tag, I know that it's something I want. And so sometimes we do that because we have a lesson to learn. So Vicky and I spent $50 each on these herbs, this herbal tea, detox tea. The shit did not work. She was like, once a week, you do this because it's going to roto-rooter you out, right? And I was like, oh, awesome. That will be a great assistance to help me purge some stuff. And so that Sunday, I drank the tea, and nothing happened. And I was like, well, maybe I didn't take enough. And so I said, well, I'll wait until next Sunday and I'll try it again. And in the meantime, Vicky starts messaging me, and she asking me questions about it, right? And so she goes and does it. She did it 3 days in a row and nothing. So we both learned a $50 lesson. It was what it was. My unconscious likes safety. Yeah, mine too. I get that with food. Johanna can tell you that I'm the apocalypse. She has apocalypse cabinets, you guys. Like all the processed shit that I won't eat. I mean, if there was no food, like if we legit, which we're not going to, guys, but if we legit had an apocalypse where we all ran out of food, I'd be beelining it to Tanya's house. I would survive at Tanya's. Yeah, food she won't even eat. But if we're starving, we'll eat it. Bye, Kelly. I know that I think the herbs had the counter effect, Vicky. And I emailed the lady and she never emailed me back. So funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Any last questions before we wrap up? I'm gonna go enjoy my day out of time and check out all my stuff floating around me. I just a whole day for her pantry. Oh, you just packed up a lady whole day just for her pantry. I used to be that way too, though. I was just like Tanya. In fact, my safety was grocery shopping because food is a primal need, right? Food is when you do it with food, it's showing you that you don't feel safe. It's a part of the safety one. It just is. And so for me, it's survival. So primal needs are survival, right? So you don't feel safe, you feel like your life's in danger and you need to survive. And so we do those things to kind of appease that part of our energy. And I used to be that way. So I used to constantly grocery shop, even if I had food. If I was out of one thing, I would go to the store and end up coming back with like 5 bags of groceries or more. I was constantly grocery shopping. My grocery bill every month was like $1,200. It was ridiculous. And when I went started going through really healing the safety within myself and learning to feel safe inside of myself, one of the biggest and hardest things I had to do was stop grocery shopping that way. So I literally would buy enough for 3 to 5 days, and I was constantly going to the store, but I was only buying what I needed for the next few days. I was not overbuying at all. With the exception of I did have, because at the time I lived in Hurricane Central. So I always had 3 days of water and dry food on hand, in case we had a hurricane. That's just standard. Same for earthquakes, so I had that at least, but um, it was like rice, beans, water, that kind of stuff. It wasn't anything serious. But that was a big thing that I had to go through. And so now that I'm a nomad and I'm traveling, it's the same. Like literally, I go to the store every 3 days and I only buy enough because one, I can't really transport a whole fridge and freezer full of shit between houses. And sometimes I get a hotel or an Airbnb between house sits. So I can't do that. So it's learning how to feel safe or find safety within you, and it's not an easy thing to do, but I was that way too. And I don't think I'll ever go back to that, because it feels really good now to not have to be that way. But everybody's different, everybody goes through that process differently. For other people in my family, they hoard boxes, empty boxes, or they just don't let go of past things like clothes, shoes, heirlooms, something they bought 20 years ago that they don't use. They just won't let go, and that's how they feel safe, with all those things around them. Sometimes, especially a lot of us who are from the Nordic countries, we come from a lineage of ancestors who had a ton of people living in their homes. It's not that they were supportive, but it was just warm bodies, right? And especially in the Nordic countries, a lot of homes, small, tiny homes, would be filled with a lot of people. And so I come from my lineage comes from those Nordic countries because I'm Swedish and German. And so we're used to being surrounded by a lot of things or people, and it makes us feel safe. So those people might have been toxic as shit and irritated the fuck out of us. Excuse my language, but it's just my cussing today. And but it made us feel safe and secure because we always had all these people or things around us. So when you don't have people, you start to put things around you. So these are just different perspectives of how to see it. But my son's a hoarder, and it makes him feel safe to have a bunch of stuff around him. So it's just things that we do that is programmed in us, and it's our choice to break the program. Something else is that the guides brought in yesterday, actually, which was really interesting, was genetics. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's genetic. My disease is genetic," or cancer runs in my family, or my father and my mother and it's genetic, this disease. And the guide said, genetic just means that the program is available in your DNA. So if you experience something and end up downloading that program and running it, that was your choice. You can choose to uninstall that program. This is what it means to do ancestral healing. When it's genetic, it just means that the program is available. Think of it as the cloud. It doesn't mean you have to download it, and it doesn't mean you have to run it. How you eat, your beliefs, how you process your emotions, how you speak to yourself, how you act, all of those things they're going to turn that program on and install it and run it, or they're not by the choices that you make. And it really made a lot of sense for me. And I was like, oh, because for me, what's genetic in my line is cancer. And so I've always felt like I was going to die of cancer. And my guy's like, well, if that's how you want, if that's how you want to spend how you want to exit, then that's the program you're going to choose to run because you believe it's genetic and you believe that you have to go through that. But that is a program. It is in the cloud, aka your DNA, your DNA line. It's not something that you have to install and run. It's a choice. It just means it's a pre-installed program that you don't have to install. When I got a new computer, it came with all kinds of pre-installed programs, and I just removed them, right? I just was like, well, I don't need that, so I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to install that. I don't need it. It doesn't work for me. So everything is, we have to look at everything as a belief or a choice. And so I really like the way that the guides brought through the cloud theory, and it's something I just shared in Solvation, is, our everything is in the cloud, and your choice is to select it, download it, and run it if you want. And if you've already done it, because maybe there was, okay, they're going to caveat here with this. Sometimes we come in with those programs already installed and running because there was something within that we needed to understand more. So maybe we were born with a disease, right? It wasn't that it was just genetic in our line. We were born with it. And when you're born with it, it is an opportunity for you to become the healer of it by how you view and live and experience it. Are you going to be a victim of it? Or are you going to see it as a gift? And are you going to look at it through a different lens? And are you going to say, okay, how can I make the best of this? What can I do to heal this? What can I do to thrive with this? And change your life, AKA change your programs, which will then alchemize that disease. And so you will then be successful in your choice to take on that disease in this life, right? And you have to embody something to really have true understanding of it. You have to be in it, playing in it, experiencing it, accepting it. And through that, you actually get the wisdom you need from it. I hope that makes sense. Body, where did that go? Body, uninstall high cholesterol, please, thanks. What you say out loud is powerful. Your voice is the most healing frequency there is. So listen to how you talk to yourself. Oh, thank you, Corey. Yeah, I'm going to run too. Bye, Tanya. You guys, thanks for joining me for this cosmic conversation. If you feel called to hop in the vault, do so. Up until the 31st, you can get $7 off per month. So it'd be $22 a month moving forward. You can cancel at any time. It has 5 courses. It has Awaken the Magic, which is a beginner's course on your clairs, rituals, altars, a very outdated version of the chakra teachings, but still cool information. Heal is a radical course in forgiveness and self-acceptance. Reset and Reclaim, which is about empowering the impact within. It's really about learning how your energy works for understanding your frequency and your energy for beginning to build your boundaries. The Devotion Experience, which was an 8-month experience moving through the Gene Key Divine Path from beginning to end. So all of the whole Gene Keys. And there is some human design. It is a replay of a live 8-month experience, and there are live Q&As in there. And Becoming Your Best Self. And then there's a whole vault of transmissions, guided meditations, previous recorded master classes, on enmeshment and all kinds of stuff, channelings. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And then we'll do a monthly call. So all of that is normally $29 a month. It will be $22. There is a link if you guys decide to join up and enjoy that for however long you feel called. And that's it. So enjoy your day out of time. rebuild your structure over the next 13 days starting tomorrow for what it is that you actually want to sustain. And let's do this. So I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.